Hi friends, a very pleasant good evening and welcome to Oliveboard. I really hope all of you are doing great, and today we're going to have a very important session with respect to RBI Grade B 2023. I know many of you are already preparing for this particular examination, and many are still thinking as to how to lay out your plan or the strategy to prepare for RBI Grade B 2023 examination. So without further ado, let me just tell you what are we going to be doing in this particular session today, which is very important for those who are eyeing RBI Grade B 2023 examination, which is just round the corner. We have the 2022 cycle, which is completed now. The results are out and we have seen a lot of interviews with the toppers, and we do realize that now it's high time that we start preparing for the next cycle, which is 2023. Right? So what we will be doing in this particular session that you're going to be attending is we're going to have a quick look at how do we prepare for RBI Grade B 2023 examination. What is the correct strategy one should follow in terms of clearing this particular exam? What are the important points we need to understand before we even start our preparation? That is the prime motive behind today's particular lecture. So what I will do is I will mention a few important phases, like how taking from the previous experience of the examinations we can learn and then start our preparation. So I can see good evening. Okay, I can see one of the users saying good evening. Good evening. I hope you are doing good. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll not wait much for the candidates to join in, and I'll begin with the session. At the end of the session, we can quickly take on any important doubts or anything that you guys want to share or ask, because there can be a lot of doubts in the minds of the aspirants. Right? Okay, we'll begin with the session and I'll check the comments at the end of the session. I hope that is going to be fine with all of you. Right? So let's begin. Okay, so can you see the PPT on your screen? Is it visible? If you can just give me a go ahead. Is the PPT visible on the screen so that we can quickly go ahead with the particular session? Can you see my screen there? Okay, so now we'll quickly start. What are we going to deal with in today's particular session? Okay. Firstly, the agenda of the session is to have a look at the timeline. Okay, we need to understand how many months do we have in our hands. Okay, we'll next move on to have a look at the pattern. Now, I do understand most of you have seen the pattern of RBI Grade B examination, but here we will have a look at the pattern in terms of understanding our requirements. Okay, there are many important points one needs to take away after having a very good look at the pattern of RBI Grade B exam. So we'll be doing that today, right? The next thing is going to be pre-work. Before you start, there are a few things that you need to be very well aware about. Okay, so we will discuss what are the important things that one needs to take care of. The other thing is understanding the scheme of the examination, what to study. Okay, this is very important. Next, how to approach phase 1, how to approach phase 2, and at the end we will quickly have a look at the study plan. Okay, now at the end of the session, if you guys have any doubt, please feel free to put that in the chat section. I'll cater to each one of them elaborately. Right? Okay. Now, see, the cycle is such that we are anticipating the RBI examination to be held in April or May. Okay. Now, we are not going to be considering April, May as of now. We need to be prepared well beforehand. Okay. So, the timeline that we are going to be looking at are 4 solid months that we have in our hands. We have December, Jan, Feb and March. Now, how do we plan the next 4 months that we have, right? The first thing is, in December, we're going to be having a look at the basics. I'll tell you again, this is going to be discussed in detail as we proceed with the session. Fine. One important thing that you guys are going to be doing along with brushing up your basics or learning your basics, I would say, is the current affairs section. Okay. In January, you're going to be revising your basics, and if there is something left, you're going to cover those basics. Again, current affairs is also going to be there in January. The next thing is you're going to start descriptive answer writing for sure. Okay. In Feb, we will concentrate more on current affairs and descriptive answer writing. March onwards, our focus will be a little more on phase 1 quant reasoning English to be on a safer side, and we will continue with revision multiple times, which we need to do so that we don't miss out on the important questions asked in the current affairs section. Okay, so this is a very rough look that I have discussed so far. Now we'll dive deep into how one needs to prepare for RBI Grade B 2023 with the right strategy. Okay, now let us look at the pattern. I've seen many students wondering that do we actually need to have a look at the pattern again and again, because we already know it, right? But let me just show you a few other points that are going to help you a lot in understanding why we need to have a look at the pattern. Okay, fine. See, the phase 1 examination, clear cut, we have 4 sections that are going to be asked, right? General awareness, reasoning, English and quantitative aptitude. Now let me put forth one point very clearly. There can be many students who are preparing for banking exams or other competitive exams. You need to understand that the approach that you have for say SBI or IBPS exams, that is not going to be applicable here. There are a few overlaps. Obviously, it's going to be a bit of an advantage for you, but you need to understand the requirement to clear RBI Grade B 2023. That is what we are going to be seeing in the coming section. This is the pattern for phase 2 examination. We have 3 papers, okay? ESI, Descriptive English and Finance and Management. There has been one important change wherein along with the objective type of questions, descriptive type of questions have also been introduced, right? One very important thing that I've seen among the aspirants is you feel that, the introduction of descriptive type of questions is a disadvantage. Let me clear this myth for you. It is not a disadvantage. The only issue is the students don't understand what level of descriptive answer writing is required. Okay. In fact, objective type, short, you need to know the correct answer. Otherwise, you get a negative marking. But that is not the case with the descriptive answer writing. So we need to understand this is something which we can use to our advantage only if we know the right strategy. And that is what we are going to be helping you with. The third thing is, before going to the interview phase, we obviously have a clear-cut pattern that we have 15 marker questions. We have 10 marker questions as well. Okay, I would not dive deep into it for now. For now, let us just keep it simple. Here we have the third stage that we are discussing, which is the interview stage, right? Now the interview stage, for that matter, initially it was just for 50 marks, okay? When there was a change in the pattern, even they changed the weightage of interview phase. Now we have interview being conducted for 75 marks. Fine? Okay. Now let's come to a very important part. See, I would just like to point out one thing, students here, that over 2 lakh aspirants are going to apply for 2023, or every year they do so, right? But only few of them get selected. Now the difference is such that everybody is working hard. Most of them do take time out, they study, they do put in a lot of efforts. But why do we see that only a certain section of students are able to clear the examination? The answer lies in understanding the pattern, understanding what is required to clear RBI Grade B. You might be studying 14-16 hours a day. That is really not needed. You need to understand you can study 3 to 4 hours, even 2.5 to 3 hours effectively and still clear RBI Grade B if you know what to study and what not to study, right? That is one very, very important point. Okay. Now, phase 1 is qualifying in nature. I hope most of you know that. If you don't, please note that point. Okay, the marks that you score in phase 1 is not going to be taken into account to prepare the final list. This is one important thing. Now, the other thing is general awareness is going to be the key for us. The students who clear RBI Grade B 2023, they have good marks in the GA section. Out of 80, they at least get 50 plus if the paper is easy, and at least 40 plus if the paper is on the difficulty side. Okay. Apart from that, quant, reasoning, English is usually used to clear the sectional cutoff. Fine. One very important takeaway from here, you guys need to analyze out of quant, reasoning and English, which is your favorite section. When I say favorite, I mean which section is something that you are able to, ace that section, or you're comfortable with that section, right? So what you need to do is you need to make sure that you are pushing your overall cutoff using that particular section. You might be very good in reasoning, you might be very good in English, use that to your advantage. If you're not good in any section, don't worry. You can just manage to clear the sectional cutoff and your job is done. So that is where I say it is important you understand the need of the examination, because I've interacted with a lot of students and I do hear this concern from them that I'm not comfortable or I'm weak in say quantitative aptitude. Will I be able to clear RBI Grade B? The answer is yes, you will be able to clear RBI Grade B, because RBI Grade B exam is not all about quantitative aptitude or reasoning or English. No, right? There is much more to it. You need to understand the pattern. Fine. Now let's move on to phase 2. Phase 2, yes, the marks are counted for final list, so we really need to perform well here. We have 3 papers as I told you. ESI paper, it is current affairs heavy. 85 to 90% of your ESI paper is constituting of current affairs. Okay. The next thing is the descriptive English paper. Here again, it is a myth that this is a tough paper. No, it is not a tough paper. You are already studying many things for your ESI paper, FM paper, you're studying current affairs. So you already have a lot of points in your head. You just need to concentrate more on practice part, how to write those points that you have stored in your head, right? The other thing is FM, the third paper. Okay, here I would like to point out one important thing, that usually we have a misconception that when you talk about finance and management, it is only finance. Like most of them give weightage to finance, but that's the incorrect approach, because when I say FM, it is finance plus management. Management is quite easy compared to finance, right? So it is usually 50-50 weightage is given to in finance and management in the paper. So you need to know that we have a very good chance of getting good marks in this paper if you know what to do and how to do. Okay. And the last thing that I already mentioned at the start of this particular session, that the misconception that many students have that, oh, descriptive answer writing has made our jobs tougher. No, that's not the case. In fact, it is an advantage to all of you aspirants. The next thing is the interview stage. Now, the interview stage, again, the marks are going to be counted for the final list. We will also have a complete training program for this, so don't worry about it. You just need to understand that based on your profile, questions are asked. Based on your work profile, they dig in a bit. Okay. Based on current events, a lot of questions are discussed. Fine. So this is how the interview usually takes place. So you can have a rough idea for now, in case you're someone who has not attended any other interview which takes place in competitive exams. Fine. Okay. Now, so the pattern part is clear. I hope can I get at least 1 or 2 thumbs up in the chat section, so that I'm confident enough to move forward to the next section in today's particular lecture. 1 or 2 thumbs up in the chat section would be really encouraging, so that I can move forward to the next section, which is nothing but the pre-work. What you guys need to do before starting your preparation. Okay, thank you Shashank for that. Thank you. Okay, it gives me a sense of confidence that you guys are able to understand what we are discussing here. Okay, thank you Neha, thank you Sakshi. That's really nice. Deepika, we will come to that point. Don't worry, we'll discuss that properly. Okay, how to cover general awareness. Fine. Now let's talk about pre-work. See, most of you are really excited to, go ahead and start your preparation for RBI. And if you haven't done it yet, please do so. This is the best time to start your RBI Grade B preparation because you have enough time right now. Don't lose these months. Don't wait for the notification. Once the notification is out, you need to hustle. You need to make sure you start revising, start completing the things that you haven't done yet. Okay, so in case RBI is in your head right now, take these steps right away. Okay, the first thing is you need to solve, or at least you need to go through the previous year papers of RBI. Okay, many of you are still not aware what kind of questions are asked. So when you ask me a question, how do we prepare for RBI Grade B? I am sure this is a very common question. How do I prepare for general awareness? How do we prepare for descriptive answer writing? I'm going to be asking you one question. Have you looked at the previous year papers of RBI? Okay, have you seen the syllabus of RBI Grade B? Have you seen the type of questions that are asked? If the answer is no, I would want you to go back, do this first and then start your preparation. Okay, see where to find the previous year papers. Don't worry, this is absolutely a free resource. You don't have to worry about it. You can go and check out in the course that we have put up. Okay, there is a section which says past year papers. All your past year papers are there and anybody can access it. Okay, fine. Now the step 2 is you need to go through the syllabus. Okay, we usually underestimate this. We are very confident that we know what RBI Grade B has. We know it is FM, we know it is ESI, right? But what are the chapters that one has in these particular sections? I want all of you to be very confident with the syllabus also, right? Okay. Now the pre-work is done. I'm assuming if you haven't done, you'll do it by today. Okay, at least one night or a day is also more than enough. So you can put in, say, tomorrow's day. Tomorrow is 30th, and from 1st you can be all out charging, preparing for RBI Grade B. Okay. So now let's move on to your phase 1 preparation, then phase 2, then a quick look at the study plan, and then we will have a sense of understanding as to how to go about with 2023 preparation. Right? Okay. Now, talking about phase 1. Before we move ahead, have you guys seen the previous year cutoff? Now you would ask me, why do we need to have a look at it? See, preparing for exam, you need to know what was the passing mark, the qualifying mark last year. Now, it's not going to be the same this year. It depends on a lot of factors that can be the number of applications, the difficulty level of the paper, and etc. We're not going to be going into those factors, but here if you see on your screen, last year the paper was on the difficult side. Okay, so because it was on the difficult side, the overall score or the cutoff for the general category, as you can see it is marked, was 63.75 out of 200. Okay, so this is how the marks were. So anybody who scored a minimum of 63.75 would have cleared the phase 1, plus if that candidate would have cleared the sectional cutoffs. So I showed you the pattern at the start of this particular session. So you need to understand one thing, that you need to clear the sectional cutoff also. Fine, it's not just the overall cutoff, the sectional also needs to be cleared. Okay. Now this is what happened in 2021. So you can see there was not much difference. Last year it was 63.75 and the previous year it was 66.75. Now again the paper was on the difficult side even in the year 2021. So that is why we can see this particular cutoff here. Fine. Now these have been the cutoff in the previous years, okay, like starting from 2015. You can see that we have seen a trend that the cutoff is actually shifted, right? But that is because of the difficulty level, so you don't need to worry much about it. You can see there was a time when the cutoff was 122 as well. We did see a cutoff which was 105.75 also, but that was because the paper was easy, right? So you don't have to worry much about it. Now, what you should worry about, let's come to the part which you should concentrate after having seen these cutoffs here. See, I have seen a lot of students asking me, as I told you at the beginning also, that we are not very good in a particular section, say quantitative aptitude. Okay, so you need to be very clever enough to understand that you can still ace the paper if you clear the sectional cutoff. Okay, and what is the sectional cutoff? We have done a study from 2015 to 2022, and let me tell you the range of the sectional cutoff so that you can make up your mind, you can draw up your plan to clear each section. Okay, now quantitative aptitude, the lowest has been 6, okay, and it went up to 7.5. Okay, in reasoning last year was the lowest, it went till 9. Usually it is around 12, the sectional cutoff, but we did see reasoning come down to 9. So these are the kind of cutoffs that you can see on your screen. So this gives you an idea that okay, I need to manage to get at least say 8 or 9 in quantitative aptitude to be on the safer side. Okay, I'm very weak in reasoning. What do I do? Let me put out a plan wherein I can go and choose questions in such a way that I get at least say 18 to 20 in reasoning, so that I'm safe on the sectional cutoff end. The other marks that I need to clear the overall cutoff will be done with general awareness and say any other section that I'm very good with. Right? So this is how your mind should work to clear RBI grade B. You know, one point which I really want to share with you, because there are more than 500 students who have been trained under me. I'm there as a super mentor in this particular field for the last 5.5 years. Okay, so I do understand the psyche of the students when you talk about RBI grade B. So one point is, students don't realize it is very easy to clear RBI grade B phase 1. Okay, they just need to put the right pieces at the right time, and if they do so, they will definitely come out of the exam hall and they'll say, I'm clearing this paper. Okay, so I want all of you to just do smart work along with hard work. Don't just keep doing hard work, because at the end of the day you will feel sad that after putting in so much of efforts, why am I not able to clear? The answer is very, very obvious, that you have the thing that takes, you know, you have it in you, but you are lacking strategy. Okay, fine. Now let's move on. One other point is, I'm really sorry, I'll take all your questions at the end. I just don't want to break the flow here. Okay, so don't mind if I'm just having a look at your questions but not immediately giving an answer here. Okay, now what are my key takeaways? You should have noted some important points, but let me just rephrase it to you. If you want to clear the phase 1 examination of RBI grade B, GA section is going to be the key. Obviously, out of 200 marks, 80 marks is GA, right? And if you're getting 50 plus, I'm assuming if the paper is easy, okay, and your cutoff is somewhere 100, let's assume that. So if you get 50 in general awareness, the remaining 50 marks you need to pull in from 3 sections. I don't think that's going to be a tough task at all. You just need to understand how to do it, right? Now, having said that, general awareness is something which is not a very simple or a plain road, or I would say, when I come to the general awareness part, I'll tell you a few points which is like, a very common mistake that the aspirants make. We'll discuss that mistake, and then we will discuss how do we not do that mistake. Okay, the other thing, revision is the key. You need to keep revising, because there's so many points of facts that you need to store in your head. Okay, so here quality matters over quantity. Don't sit and keep referring 4-5 sources for current affairs. At the end, you will not remember anything. Okay, if you're doing some, suppose you have picked say source 1 and source 2, it's okay, keep revising that, but that source should be correct. Okay, other sections, it can be prepared by revision. I'll tell you a very detailed strategy also. Now, quant, reasoning, English. The best option to do this is to give tests. Give as many tests as possible and then see where you are making mistake. Fine, analyze your tests, because again, this is qualifying in nature. But again, if you're someone who thinks you cannot even clear the sectional cutoff, then I would say extra effort is needed. Okay, otherwise, if you're someone in the between thing, okay, I am decent enough, okay, let me just have some kind of a practice going on, so you can keep your weekends for practicing there. Fine, so that's how you need to start putting out your plan for preparation. Fine. Now, how are we going to help you? Obviously, we have our foundation classes going on for reasoning and quantitative aptitude. Now, these classes are specific to RBI grade B 2023. Okay, it is going to be specifically catering to the topics that are required for an aspirant to clear RBI grade B. Okay, and for general awareness for phase 1, we have curated a specific capsule which is called RBI Bolt. Okay, so that is going to help you out and out for phase 1, and for phase 2 also we have capsules. I'll tell you about that, don't worry. Okay, now let's come to a very important part. Again, I keep telling this word very important. I'll try not to use that, but the only intention here is to emphasize what is required. Okay, so can I get a quick thumbs up from those who are actively listening to this particular session, so that we can quickly move on to general awareness, or rather current affairs preparation section. At least 2 thumbs up in the chat would give me an indication that I can proceed further. Okay, so shall I proceed further? Can I get a quick thumbs up in the chat? Are you guys with me? Because I want you guys to be comfortable before we start with the next one. Okay, great. Neha, Adarsh, Nile, Romero, Mayur, Sakshi, Mukesh, Deepika. Thank you so much. That's really encouraging, and I do understand that you are understanding right now. Okay, thank you, Pawan, Mayur. Okay, cool. Let's move ahead now. Fine. Okay, let's talk about current affairs now. See, one thing is, when you are starting to prepare for a particular examination, please be sure you're on the right track. I've said that enough number of times. Okay. Now, what I have observed is, students are of the mindset that I'm preparing for other competitive exams. It may be X, Y, Z. Okay. Now, my preparations for current affairs for RBI exam is sorted. This is how I have seen the students giving their viewpoints here. Okay. Now, let me tell you, this is an incorrect approach. Current affairs is a vast field, okay, and every competitive exam these days tests your knowledge on current affairs. But RBI exam, when I talk about RBI in specific, it requires a certain level of in-depth study. Okay, you need to be specific in your preparation in current affairs when you're eyeing RBI Grade B examination. Right? Obviously, if you're preparing for other exams and you are studying current affairs, that's going to give you some help. I'm not saying it's not going to be an advantage or it's completely not useful. No, it is obviously useful, but you need to keep studying based on the exam requirements. Okay, I'll show you a few things. We will discuss about that, don't worry. But just understand here, we are talking about incorrect approach and correct approach. Okay. Now, the next thing, quickly, these are the most commonly asked questions. Coverage. How many months current affairs do we read? Right? For phase 1, let me put it very bluntly, it is last 3 to 4 months that they ask, last 3 to 4 months from the date of the examination. Okay, but to be on the safer side, usually we cover 6 months, but very important, 3 to 4 months. Fine. Phase 2, usually last 8 months is something which we need to be thorough with. Okay, then government schemes, reports and indices, this requires 1 year coverage. Fine. Government schemes, again, not only the latest schemes but important ones under each ministry is required to be studied. You will get 2 marker questions based on schemes and 1 marker as well. Okay. Now understand what news to cover, depth of coverage. Now see, this last point, I want each one of you who are listening to this particular live session today, that I would say this is the start point. If you ask me, or if you're looking out to understand how to prepare general awareness. See, if you're reading a news article, there are layers to a news article. Okay, I can just stop after reading the headline, or I can go in depth. I can read the second line. I can read the third layer of my news. Okay, you need to understand for RBI how many layers you need to study, how much in depth do you need to go, what should be the coverage of each news article, because the question can be from second layer, third layer, or the fourth layer. And imagine you have studied that news article, but you have just studied the first layer of it. You have just seen the heading, or you just know the second layer of the news. Then obviously even after reading that, you will feel, why did not I answer that question? The answer is simple, you did not read that news in depth. Okay, so that is where your understanding of the exam plays a very substantial role. Okay, fine. Let's come to the how part. How do we cover current affairs? Now, honestly, you can't prepare current affairs separately for phase 1 and separately for phase 2. No, this is not something which is going to happen. You need to do your preparation simultaneously for phase 1 and phase 2. Okay, I'll show you certain things and you will understand why am I saying this. Okay, we just now spoke about coverage, so I think you need to be clear about coverage till now. I have mentioned the months also here, that if you're talking about 2023 examination, then obviously the last 3-4 months very important, but we need to be sure enough to answer all these questions. So we need to also cater to November and December. Phase 2, at least 8 months of coverage is what we are looking at. Fine. Okay. Now, general awareness, what is it? It's not just daily current affairs. There are other components to it. There is a very important component which is called RBI notification. We need to cover it for every month, okay, the important ones. There's government schemes. Again, government scheme has taken a very huge role in the RBI examination the last 2 years in phase 1, in phase 2, okay, in phase 1 GA section, and in phase 2 it has taken a role in the ESI paper. As I told you in the starting, if you have listened to the lecture very carefully, that ESI 85 to 90% weightage is current affairs. Okay, we also have census 2011, we have SECC 2011, other important reports, union budget, economic survey. So all these things need to be covered very properly if you want to cover general awareness. Okay, now how are we going to help you? Obviously, as I mentioned, for specific RBI Grade B preparation, we have capsules which is released every month, and from 5th of December we are starting a batch which is for government schemes. Okay, so the government schemes will help you, the batch will help you to study government schemes from scratch and cover it till the examination. Okay, and it will be covered ministry wise, it will be covered month wise, so that you are confident with government schemes. Fine. Okay, now let us look at the areas from where questions are asked. Now, I told you one thing, right, that we need to prepare RBI current affairs for phase 1 and phase 2 simultaneously. Now, why did I tell you that? See, if you have a look at these areas from where questions are asked, these are the areas from where you see questions being asked in general awareness section. The ones that are in red, okay, they are very specific to phase 1. Like if you talk about sports news, if you talk about any awards or obituary based news, okay, headquarter of banks, these kind of questions will be seen only in phase 1 GA. You will not find these questions in phase 2 GA. But all the other things that you see, right, it can be economic and financial news, like any news related to monetary policy committee, repo rate, etc. This can be asked both in phase 1 as well as phase 2. Okay, where can it be asked in phase 2? I told you that ESI has 85 to 90% of current affairs coverage. Okay, also in finance, also they ask current affairs. So all these things are asked even in phase 2. So while you're preparing for your current affairs, you need to be sure that this is also going to help you in phase 2. Right? You can't separate this like a watertight compartment. Now there are other topics which are again specific to phase 1. This is a part of your static GK, I would say. Fine, you can take a screenshot in case you're not able to note it down, it's fine. Right? Okay. Now before we move ahead, let me just show you one thing. Okay, last year we did an analysis. I've taken this exactly from the analysis that I did after the RBI Grade B 2022 examination, both shift 1 and shift 2. How was the paper? Let's quickly have a look at it. Okay, general awareness. See, we saw 4-5 questions from union budget. We saw questions from government schemes, which were statement based questions. There were questions from reports. Static based questions were there. They also asked you questions which tested your concept understanding, like bonds or Great Depression and etc. Okay, now if you talk about coverage, again it was seen that the last 2-3 months were very important and very few questions were asked from the next 3 months, I would say. So essentially we are looking at 6 months coverage for phase 1 GA section. Fine. Now one other thing that we saw was it had, compared to last year, the questions were such that in few of the cases the questions were lengthy. statement based questions. Okay, they kept giving you information in the question and then they asked you one other question. Okay, so half of the questions were like that and the other half questions were one liners. Let me just show you shift 2 also. See, I have written a conclusion at the end. Let me read that conclusion for you. Compared to last year, we did see a good mix of questions. Last year, all were lengthy questions. When I say last year, I'm talking about 2021. This year, there were one-liner questions also, okay, but there were too many data point based questions. So there was a lot to memorize. So if you forget something, it was clear out, okay. So again, coming back to the point that we discussed about coverage. Till what depth do you need to study? This is what I was talking about. Usually what they have done, why do you think that the cutoff is going low in the last 2 years? Okay, 2021 also we saw it was in the 60s range. In 2022 also we saw it was in the 60s range. Okay, the prime reason is even the general awareness section has been revamped completely. There are questions that are straightforward questions, one-liners, but those questions are very few. They have started to ask the news articles in depth. Okay, they are going 1 level, 2 layer, 3 layer below. So you need to be very confident when you're covering any news article. Okay, fine. Now we have come to phase 2. Don't worry, I'll tell you about the coverage, the study plan also that we have. Okay, so can I get a quick thumbs up in the chat section? I know it's a little bit overwhelming session wherein there are so many points that we are discussing, but I want you guys to let me know if you're comfortable, if you're ready to move ahead and have a look at phase 2. That would help me to understand if you're on the right track. So a quick thumbs up there. Can I proceed? Do I have a go ahead from you guys? Are you all still having that energy to move forward? Have a look at how do we need to prepare for phase 2? Okay, thank you Mohit, Shashank, Adarsh, Mayur, Nile. Thank you so much. Thank you Rohit. Thank you Neha. So you guys are awake. Nile, Sakshi. Okay, I'm really glad that you guys are still in the session, still finding it useful. Okay, great. So let's quickly proceed. Okay, thank you Mukesh. Okay, fine. Can you see the screen right now? Thank you Pavan. Thank you. Fine. Now this particular screen has a screenshot taken from last year's cutoff. Okay, 2022 examination RBI grade B phase 2 plus the total marks that were there. Okay, so you can see very clearly that the first column, that row that you can see is the marks out of 300, that is your phase 2 marks, and the next row is your phase 2 plus interview mark. Okay, so this is how the marking was. Don't worry about it for now. You don't have to infer much about it. This is just a quick sneak peek as to how your phase 2 marks. We have not included the interview marks here. The phase 2 marks have been out of 300. In 2021, it was 187.75. In 2022, it was 171.25. Okay, so don't read much into it. It's okay, right? Fine, we have seen the pattern already. If you don't know about the pattern, let me tell you. 50% objective, 50% descriptive in ESI. The same pattern applies for FM. Okay, the total marks is going to be 100, 100, 100. So you have 300 marks here, right? For descriptive, again, you do have choice while you're attempting the descriptive answer. So don't worry much about it. We'll talk about that as well. Okay, and descriptive English, 3 questions are usually asked. Fine, essay writing, reading comprehension out there, right? Okay. Now, talking about phase 2, let's break it down. Firstly, there is a wrong approach or an incorrect approach taken by the students that, you know, the syllabus is huge, it's vast. No, again, it is doable. Know what to do, know what to leave. These are the questions that you should be asking. If you're not asking these questions, that is where you're going wrong. Okay, so when you talk about subjects, we have ESI, which has static part, current affairs part, right? But in ESI paper, 85 to 90% coverage is current affairs. So mostly the questions are going to be current affairs. And in the last few 2-3 years, we have seen reports and indices, government schemes taking a lead even in the current affairs, to be very specific. Fine. Come to the next paper, finance. Again, static and current affairs. You're tested on concepts as well as you're tested on current affairs. Though we cannot say it is 85 to 90, but easily you can say 60 to 65%. Again, you have current affairs involved here, right? And static is also equally important. They do test you on concepts which are in the news. So that is one smart approach to follow. If there is something in the news related to finance, okay, you need, while studying that article, make sure you know the concept of that particular thing as well. Okay. Now, next, if you come to management, management is completely static. That is why I always say that you don't have to worry about your FM paper. You have management as a component. Management caters to 50% of your paper. It is completely static, right? You don't have to keep learning it again and again or keep updating yourself again and again. Okay. The next thing is descriptive English. Descriptive English, very easy. How to write, what to write. That's all. What to write, you know. How you can ask me, how do we know? You're reading finance, you're reading ESI, you're reading current affairs, you're doing so much of reading for your other papers. Don't you have fodder material? You do have fodder material for sure. But the only thing you need to concentrate on is how to write. Okay, so this how to write can be catered to very easily, and what will help you to understand how to write? Practice. Okay, so that sums up your preparation for descriptive English. Fine. Let me take one by one the subjects here. ESI, again, I've repeated this n number of times, but I will do it again because I know it is important. Give importance to current affairs, but at the same time, you need to be thorough with the basics given in the syllabus. Because if you're not thorough about the basics, A, how will you read current affairs? B, how will you attempt descriptive answer writing? Because it's not going to be just mugging up and just writing something out there. You need to know the basics at least. Fine. So once you know the basics, then it's going to be a cakewalk for you. Now what I want you guys to do is, you need to be strong in the concepts, then you need to read the chapter, solve the topic test, understand if you know that chapter, and then start thinking about descriptive answer writing. While you're reading a particular chapter, don't just jump in and think these things in your mind, okay, descriptive answer writing, how do I frame this answer right now? No, first be confident with the concepts. Okay. Okay, let me just tell you one other thing. I'll be on your screen. You have these questions that were asked in the year 2021. Now, what are these questions? These are the descriptive questions that were asked. Fine. Why am I showing it to you? Just to make you understand that the question level is not so difficult. They are not difficult. What is making it difficult is your approach towards it, because you're thinking descriptive means again tough. It is not UPSC level. Okay, here you see the first question related to 15th Finance Commission. I'm 110% sure you're going to be reading about this in your ESI thing, and can't you just write a few good points related to 15th Finance Commission? You definitely can. Okay, see the other thing, list down India's climate change commitment. How much do we discuss about this? Can't we just write them down? I think we are capable enough to structure this answer. Okay, 3 measures related to disinvestment of strategic sectors and non-strategic sectors in union budget. Now you'll ask me, is this tough? No, you're going to be studying union budget, but at the same time we will also train you on descriptive questions which are going to be asked from union budget. Okay, so whenever we are going to be dealing with something, we are going to be starting an exclusive descriptive answer writing module, okay, along which is going to be a part of the course that we have, and that will cater to these things. We will have daily classes wherein you will be listening to these topics, you will understand how to frame it, and then you will also get them evaluated. Okay, so don't worry, you just need to be there ready to put in the efforts and dedication. Okay, now this is the last year ESI questions. Again, discuss the monetary policy framework. This is the basic thing that you study in ESI. How are you not going to be able to answer this? Okay, what are NBFCs? Very important concept. We are sure we're going to be studying that. Okay, 15 marker questions. there was a report launched by RBI which was related to financial stability. They asked a question out of it, and aren't we going to be covering reports? We are going to be going to be doing that, right? So you can answer this question. What are economic reforms? We do have a separate chapter on this. Okay, so the moot point here is, don't worry, it's doable. The only thing is you guys need to understand what needs to be done. Okay, fine. Coming to finance part, how many of you think that finance means numericals? I think gone are those days. Obviously we would not omit numericals completely. We'll be on the safer side and do a few concepts, okay, so that in case something comes up we are in a position to answer. But for the past 2 years or even 3 years for that matter, numerical type of questions have not been asked. Okay, complete all the basics given in the syllabus again for finance. Solve the topic test please, and along with us you can practice the descriptive answer writing. Don't worry about that. Management biggest advantage. Fine. The syllabus in this section, as I told you, static in nature. Start with this section. It will give you confidence. Finance and management you are doing, right? If you complete management, 50% of your job is done for a particular paper in phase 2. Right? That gives you a boost somewhere. Okay. So this is how you're going to be dealing with management. Okay. Now let us have a quick look at the descriptive questions that were asked for this particular paper. Right? Very simple. Corporate governance. What is it? What are the key principles? It's going to be very easy. We're going to be studying this. Okay. 5 major announcements in budget 21-2022. Is this a big ask? No. What are the differences, or discuss the differences between transformational and transactional leadership? This is a very important concept that is discussed in the leadership chapter. Anybody who's reading this particular chapter would definitely know the difference between transformational and transactional leadership. Okay, and they will be in a very good position, but again you need practice that we will give you. You need guidance that we will help you out. That's okay. Okay, the only point here is don't think it is not doable. The moment you think descriptive answer writing will pull you back, you are mistaken. Okay, the next thing, the last year if you see, it was very simple. The role of managers in encouraging ethical behavior. Even if you haven't read something, you can write this particular answer. Okay, why people and organization resist organization change, how to manage it. It's something which we experience in day-to-day lives. Many of us are working, many of us have been working, or even if we are freshers, we haven't worked, we still have experienced some sort of resistance to change in say college setup, right? So this is not a big thing to answer. We will teach you if there is a situation wherein you don't know anything about it, how to approach such questions. Okay, fine. 2 important points here, regarding phase 2. Again, in FM paper I already told you, don't be of the opinion that it's only finance, it's also management, right? Do that. It will increase the confidence, help you increase the score, it will put you in a comfortable position. Okay, very, very important to practice questions. Once if you are done with the reading part, you have attended the foundation classes, or even if you haven't done them and just read the note parts for now, I would request you to go ahead and start practicing. Start practicing the topic test. Give foundation weekly test. If you haven't watched the videos, it's okay, at least go and solve the foundation tests that are there. You'll get a sense whether you know these things or not. Okay, and obviously we're going to be starting the descriptive module, so you can just start practicing with us. Okay. Now, one very important tip here, usually when the students are having a lot of things with them, how do they start? That is called the starting trouble, I would say. I would always recommend you to have a look at the detailed notes. That is essential. You will get a sense of what is that there in the particular chapter. Then go ahead with the concept videos or the foundation class videos. Solve the topic wise test. Then we also have a section which says descriptive Q&A. So you can go and study these descriptive Q&A, and obviously at the end we'll make you practice or write these answers. Fine. Now let's come to the last segment, which is the study plan. Let me put this very clearly. This is a very broad study plan. I've given you enough understanding about the examination, enough understanding of what needs to be done. Now you need to plan it out. But what I can do is just give you an outline here that during the weekends you can keep them for practicing your phase 1 mocks. Okay. along with the current affairs and during the daytime. Okay, I would recommend that you give importance to components like management, ESI, finance, etc., descriptive answer writing. Okay, so I would not stress on this plan much because it should be custom plan based on your time availability, based on your strengths, based on what do you think will be the right thing to do. Okay, this is one thing. And fine, these are the courses that we are offering from Oliveboard. Okay, mentorship batch, learn, pack and complete plan. One very quick thing that I would like to tell you about the personalized mentorship batch is I'll be your super mentor. Okay, and with me you will get personalized session wherein we will draw up a customized plan. I will have a 60 to 70-minute session as soon as you enroll. Okay, and then we will figure out what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are the areas that we need to cover up. Okay, and what are the other things that we need to do to improve your preparation journey, and then you will be assigned a mentor. Okay, so it's going to be a 6 months very good journey wherein we will take you step by step and make sure you reach your destination. But at the same time, from your end, we do require a lot of dedication. Only if you're dedicated, you need to consider this, right? That's a really humble request from my end, because if you're dedicated, we'll be able to push you to your destination, or guide you rather. Okay, fine. Thank you so much, friends, for being there today in this particular session. Are there any doubts that you want to ask? Please go ahead. Please ask me in the chat section. I'm going to be more than happy to answer all your queries. You can just let me know in the chat section if there is any query. I'll be happy to give the answers right now. I hope you found the session useful. Please do let me know how was the session. Did you gain important points out of it? Do you think it's going to benefit you in any or the other way? It would really help us to understand. Most welcome, Pawan. Thank you. I saw you throughout the session. So thank you for being there and paying attention here. I really hope you make a most out of it, because I've tried my best to compress all the important points, all the, I would say the misconceptions the students have or the mistakes that they usually do. Okay. Any other doubts, guys, apart from whatever we have discussed till now? I'll just wait for a minute, and if there are any doubts, I'll take them. Otherwise, it's going to be a wrap. Most welcome, Shashank. Thank you for joining in. Nile Darne, yes, we do have model Q&As, and when you start joining that descriptive module, which is a part of the mentorship batch as well, you will be getting the answers there from our end for ESI and FM. Okay, Romero says, please elaborate about notes and paid course. Should we take handwritten notes? See, Romero, I would say the notes have already been prepared in such a format that they are concise and crisp. Okay, so I would not recommend doing that. But if there are certain students who have this psychological thing also, that if they don't take notes, they're not happy or they're not contented. If you fall in that category, maybe you can make important points for each chapter, but only if you think that is required. From our end, it is not required because the notes are already crisp and concise. Okay. Karthik, I'm really sorry if you've joined in the middle of the session. Karthik, can you please go back and see this session once we are done, because we have discussed many pointers, okay, and I'll not be able to wrap it up in 2 to 3 minutes. So I would really request you to see this session once I end this. It will be there on the channel. Okay, so Deepika says, how many times we have to study? Deepika, see, it depends upon your strengths, how much you have covered, or even if you're starting, based on what is required or your background or how much experience you have, we need to chalk this thing out regarding the number of hours. I would say 3.5 is a very safe number of hours that I would like to go with, but that should be effective preparation. It's not like 3.5 hours you're doing, but effective is only 1 hour. That's not the case. Okay. Any other question, friends? I'll be more than happy to answer you so that you are confident enough. Yeah, hi Romero, thank you so much. I'm waiting to have the super mentor session. I think tomorrow, do we have tomorrow or day after? I think you would have received a call from our team, and I think let's meet in the super mentor session. It's going to be of 60-70 minutes, and we'll discuss everything in depth. Don't worry. Deepika, RBI Grade B exam, see, it is going to be held in April, May. Okay. Most welcome, Sakshi. Most welcome. Okay. Fine, guys. Let me wrap it up right now. Okay. And looking forward to the super mentor sessions with Romero and other guys who are a part of the plan. Let's move ahead with the preparation journey. Yeah, Deepika, I've already told you that the exam is going to be either in April or May 2023. Fine. I hope your doubt is clear. Okay, guys. Please share this video with your friends in case you found it useful, genuinely if you think it has helped you in your preparation. Right? Okay. Thank you so much. Have a good night, I would say. And please start your preparation in case you haven't started them yet. I really request you to go ahead and start your preparations. Right? Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye. Bye.